Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2020 is filled with unexpected surprises. There are so many decks that are seen as competitive, it's really hard to hone in on which strategy should we play. Well, in this video, I'm going to be giving you guys even more strategies to think about, as there are some underrated decks in this format that you guys should be looking into. Okay guys, so if you want to see more content like this, then be sure to destroy that like button. Let that YouTube algorithm know that this video is too strong. So the first strategy we are going to talk about is actually a strategy that was in last format. It kind of ran last format. Orcust may have been hit by the Forbidden List the worst, losing Orcust Tarpor, but it's still a very viable deck into this format. Yes, it did lose its one-card iterations by being able to send Harpor to the graveyard and then turbo out cards, but the strategy itself is not dead. Thanks to Orcust Brass Bombard, it is now a 2-card iteration with Brass Bombard on your side of the field, Nightmare in your hand. You can proceed to go full Orcust combo by making a Link Kribo, then special summoning the Orcust Nightmare, and voila, you have your Galatea. But if that wasn't enough to sell you guys, Orcust Nightmare can be a full combo on its own. As long as you can place extenders to your side of the field, the Nightmare can banish itself to give one of your monsters attack, then send World Legacy World Wand, which would special summon the Nightmare, and there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Galatea can now shuffle in a Dark Machine monster to be able to set your Orcust Crescendo or be able to set your Orchestrated Babel. But TCGPLAYER, that's not full combo, you're gonna have to go a little further. Well, I mean, let's say you have an additional extender. You summon said extender to your side of the field, use your Galatea for a Dingirsu, and then make your IP Masquerena. On your opponent's turn, you can trigger the effect of your Orcust Nightmare to be able to send your Orcust Symbol Skeleton from the deck to the graveyard. Now you have an IP Masquerena, an Orchestrated Babel, as well as your Symbol Skeleton and your Dingirsu in the graveyard. You guys got it now. The deck is not dead, and these iterations are just about everywhere. The deck can use dangers to get those extenders to the side of the field. The scrap engine is amazing at putting resources to your side of the field and making an Apollosa if the opportunity presents itself. I don't think that Orcust are going anywhere. It's still a very valuable strategy, and while it may not be the best deck of the format anymore, I feel it can still make the same explosive plays. Actually, if somebody figures out the consistency of this deck, it can really still be the best deck of the format, which is kind of scary. Zombies have been trying to piece together a successful campaign since the structure deck came out a few years ago. Doom King Balladrock is long awaited to the throne, and Zombies actually get a huge boost with the new Jackal Bolin card. What do Zombies do best? Well, they turn everything on the field and graveyard into zombie-type monsters, meaning that certain strategies that need a zombie-type monster on the field can be in a terrible position. Also, using Rivalry of the Warlords is not fair as well, because it turns all monsters on the field to zombies, but the monsters in your hand are not zombies, meaning that you won't be able to summon them to your side of the field. Now, what I like most about the deck is not only can you control the board with Rivalry of the Warlords and Zombie World, you can really control the board even without Rivalry of the Warlords. If all monsters on the field are zombies, then Super Polymerization always has a target from this deck, fusing 2 of your opponent's monsters to make a zombie fusion monster on your own. And let's just say that the deck doesn't necessarily need its extra deck, so you can just cram in all types of Super Polymerization targets to break your opponent's board. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, a deck that has good synergies going first and going second, and actually takes advantage of the hand traps like Ghost Bell or Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring being zombie. But the really cool thing about Zombies is that that's not what it's limited to. The Shiranui cards give you excellent synchro options as well as some pretty nifty effects when they're banished, and the Vendrick cards allow you to get zombies out of your hand to the graveyard en masse and be able to make Beatrice with ease. I think the zombie strategy is far from dead. It's more like undead. Get it? And is one of the few looked over strategies that can actually take the meta by storm. The next strategy I feel is just criminally underrated. I even made a deck profile on it, which actually could still be played to this day, and players still don't understand how this deck works. Evil Eye is one of the most overlooked competitive anti-meta strategies to its day, and I guess that's kind of fair, seeing that there are strategies like Subterra and Altergeist who have proven their worth and Evil Eye just got good. But Evil Eye has something that those other two strategies just simply don't. It's the ability to mesh with other decks fairly well. For example, Evil Eye can play with True Draco and with the Unchained archetype fairly well. Even though I personally feel the deck is strongest by itself, if you guys wanted to spice it up, you could. Now, I think the reason why players may shy away from the Evil Eye strategy is because Evil Eye monsters have an ability on during the following turn, they all have an effect to hurt you. But with Zurzel, you can actually destroy cards on the following turn that could be for your benefit. Like, for example, destroying artifact cards on your opponent's turn will trigger cards like Scythe, meaning that your opponent won't be able to special summon from the extra deck through duration of the turn. And unlike the other anti-meta decks, Evil Eye can actually one-shot your opponent through its own disadvantages. This deck does require life points as a maintenance cost on some of its card effects to be able to thrive. And then there's cards that actually give your monsters attack depending on the differential of life points. Proceed to use the Solemn cards, pay all of your life points, make Zurzel one of the most indestructible monsters, and then attack for game. Evil Eye is really fun to play and is fairly cheap. I want to say it's less than $100 for the entire strategy, and I might just make a video on it again to show you how powerful the deck can be. Another strategy is Trap Tricks, a deck that is a huge winner due to the Forbidden List. Trap hole cards thrive in a slower environment, and that's where we can assume that we're headed to with all of the power cards being hit. Imagine being able to bottomless trap hole an opponent's entire pendulum summon. Now, put it in the form of an actual card that can be searched and triggered without even having it on the field. It can be in your hand or deck for what all Trap Tricks cares. The deck actually centers around Trap Trick Sarah, allowing you to gain resources just for playing the archetype. Trap Trick Sarah is a card that we've designated as a card you guys should buy before it skyrockets in price, because the deck is actually good. Trap Tricks Marimello not only destroys your opponent's spell and trap cards, but can fetch trap hole cards from your deck to your hand. And Galatea not only spell summons the Marimello to your side of the field, but it also allows you to set those trap hole cards from your graveyard to your side of the field. Trap Tricks Reflation allows you to activate those trap hole cards from your deck, meaning that Trap Tricks is just no slouch. It has everything: the Link monsters, the level 4 monsters, something that you would really look for inside of a deck because rank 4s are amazing, and of course it has the rank 4 monster to be able to dominate the opponent. Solomon Great lost Salad Mirage Stalio, but that doesn't really change much. If anything, it just changes how many Solomon Great trap cards you play. With more Solomon Great trap cards, now you can still go into double Sunlight Wolf and have your trap cards viable. The big thing about this is what to replace Solomon Great Mirage Stalio with. Players are starting to use Dante Traveler of the Burning Abyss, and I don't think it's a terrible idea. If you make Dante, you have the potential of sending a solid trap card from your deck to the graveyard, which on the way to your actual solid combo, your Sunlight Wolf can recur from your deck to your hand. Fire Fist Lion Emperor also recurs fire monsters from your graveyard to your hand, you just can't use them in that particular turn. That's more resources for the graveyard, I'm not against that. But what I actually feel that Solomon Great should be doing is focusing more on its rank 4 plays. Solomon Great, Falco, and Jack Jaguar are excellent sources of level 4 monsters that can summon themselves to their side of the field and make critical monsters in clutch situations like Abyss Dweller. There's also Baguska, because this is a Link deck and their monster effects won't affect you. Regardless, I do think losing a little bit of consistency with your rank 3s can be bypassed as long as you play your rank 4s. I mean, we got Lady Debugged at 3. I don't think that this deck is going anywhere in terms of competitive relevancy. You just have to switch the flow up a little bit. Solomon Great still thrives on running a ton of hand traps because the rest of your engine is pretty much small yet free. We are at the beginning of the format, and Infernoid is already popping in players' minds. In a format where graveyards are super important and players are heavily reliant on using their resources in that particular area, Infernoids can thrive. mainly because most of the Infernoid monsters allow you to tribute themselves to banish cards in your opponent's graveyard. But that's not where Infernoid actually draws its power from. If the opponent also just so happens to be playing in the extra deck, Void Imagination allows you to use Infernoid monsters from your deck and send them to the graveyard. That means more Infernoid monsters to your side of the field, which pretty much equals some really bad situations for your opponent. Anuku allows you to destroy all monsters on the side of the field and can negate the activation of spell and trap card effects. Deviati allows you to destroy all spell and trap cards on the field that aren't void and allows you to negate and banish monster effects. These two monsters in tandem can be backbreaking against the opposition. Also, you can tribute your opponent's cards with Layer of Darkness. Everybody loves Layer of Darkness. I'm not 100% sure why, but I mean, I guess it's a good card sometimes. I also like to mention that as long as we get more links like Gravity Controller, yeah, Infernoid will be awesome. Being able to get that Infernoid Tiara out your extra monster zone, which frees up the levels you can summon to your side of the field. I mean, this deck is just big brain all the way around. Infernoids are stupid underrated, and they're really powerful in this format. Well, that's pretty much it for the underrated decks this format. I know you guys feel that I probably missed some strategies. Go ahead and post down below in the comment section which strategies did I miss and why are these decks so powerful. Also, for my Patreons, I will be uploading some footage that has some other decks that I think are strongly underrated but just did not make the cut on this video. I hope you guys are having a great day, like I am.